Go back to the regular order of business, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, we live on
Second.
YouTube. Dr.
We're
Kelly?
live on YouTube, yes.
Okay, great. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Committee of the Whole Revere School Committee. On the agenda, we are back from executive session, and on the agenda, we have two items. The first is the discussion and vote of the memorandum of understanding with the RTA. Dr. Kelly, do you want to walk us through? Mr. Sinell, I think we're going to have a brief overview of the MOU for the
Yes,
edification
thank you. Yes,
of the public, and then we'll move for a vote. So, Dr. Kelly.
thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I want to begin by thanking you and Ms. Ty and Mrs. Sinella and Ms. Mokaba and the members of the Revere Teachers Association bargaining team who spent inordinate numbers of hours in the last 2 weeks on top of everything else that we've been struggling with and thinking about and trying to navigate. We spent a good chunk of time working on negotiations as well. And I think that we probably found a middle ground between everything that we desired and everything that the teachers desired. I do feel like in the end, what we have come to agreement on will enable us to better serve our students than we would have been able to without such an agreement. So I thank everybody for their hard work, and I'll just give a brief overview of what this will entail. So naturally, we have some staff members who need medical accommodations due to the continuing COVID pandemic. And for them, we will provide accommodations as are appropriate based on their needs. And Dr. Mokaba and Dr. Bellucci have been working with individual staff members to determine those accommodations. But regardless, all of our staff members are going to engage in remote professional development on September 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. So most will be working from their homes. Teachers are invited to come to their school building and engage in the professional development remotely from their classroom. If they feel like that's a better option for them, they're welcome to do that. The following week, September 14th through 18th, is going to be kind of divided into two phases. The first half of the week, the 14th and 15th, each teacher will be assigned one day in which they will come into the classroom to orient themselves to the building, get their classroom set up, and make sure they understand the safety protocols that are in place in terms of protective gear and hand sanitization, hand washing, all of the different pieces that principals have been working so hard on for the last several months. The second half of the week, September 16th through 18th, will be the first 3 days of remote learning for students, but we're also taking part of that time to engage teachers and families in some safe, socially distanced engagement in person outside at a designated space near their school. And principals will communicate the time and the location of those meetings to families over the course of next week or the week after. So families will know in advance what time and where they're invited to meet with their child's teacher at the school. Again, those meetings will take place outside. Everybody will engage in social distancing and mask wearing. Our hope is that we can at least see each other person to person and get to start the beginning of a relationship between teachers and students. I will emphasize that anybody who is having COVID symptoms or is not feeling well should not participate in those activities. Beginning the week of September 21st, teachers will provide remote instruction to students from their classrooms 3 days a week and from their homes 2 days a week. Principals will work with teachers to identify which 3 days they'll be coming into the building and which 2 days they will work from home. It should be noted that on weeks that have fewer than 5 school days, because there's a holiday, teachers will work from their classroom on 2 days and work from their homes on 2 days. We've agreed that the Revere Public Schools will adhere to the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and the Department of Public Health standards for any switches from our current remote learning phase to a hybrid phase. And those standards are less than 5% positivity rate across the city and fewer than 8 cases per 100,000 in the city as well. Other pieces are that if the city were to return to a phase 2 opening process, teachers would have the option to work from home or to work from their classroom. And if the city returns to a phase 1 opening plan, then all buildings would be closed and teachers would work from home. If that happens during a hybrid model, students would learn fully from home again as well. And I should just say that, you know, I mentioned teachers would work from their classrooms 3 days a week and from home 2 days a week. The option to work fully from the classroom is available to all teachers if somebody prefers to do that. As we've spoken about on several school committee meetings, we are working with several other districts, including Wellesley, Somerville, Chelsea, and Brookline, to set up a testing program for staff and students free of charge so that people can get tested and we can monitor asymptomatic cases of COVID in order to isolate folks experiencing that prior to any kind of spread of disease. We're still working on that partnership, and our next meeting is Monday night. If we're able to set up that testing program, then we've agreed that students and staff who give consent will be tested 1 week before the hybrid model begins and will be tested weekly thereafter if they so choose. It was one of the more difficult pieces of consensus that we did come to is that all students will learn remotely at this time, and we will not be having programming in person for the special needs and English language learner students that we had were thinking about having. Once we move to a hybrid model, those students will be invited in, as will be all students. We do have further negotiations that we need to engage in around teacher educator evaluation. We're going to do some more talking about scheduling once we get into a hybrid mode. And there are a few other items on the agenda, but we felt that the work that we came to consensus on last night really served the purposes of what we needed in order to get schools open and start the school year this year. So we stopped there, and actually there was one other item that I failed to mention around the ventilation at the Beachmont, the high school, and the Garfield. And again, as I've explained, all of those ventilation systems are in perfect working order. They were designed at a time when ventilation systems were meant to maintain a steady temperature in different spaces, whereas HVAC systems now can be changed in order to favor an increased airflow from the outside and have other such changes made to them. I'm not sure if any of you saw the article in the Washington Post that came out this morning. I'll share that with you. I was wishing it had come out yesterday, but they affirmed what our HVAC experts have been telling us for several weeks, which is the solution to the problem I just described is opening a window. They said opening one window 6 inches in a standard size classroom is sufficient to change the airflow in that space 20 times in an hour, which far exceeds the standard of 4 to 6 times an hour that's required industry-wide. I wish I could have shared that with teachers yesterday, but we didn't have it yesterday. Timing is everything. I will share it with them, and I'll share it with the committee when we get off of this call. to see if there are other things that we can do that, might enable us to keep windows closed in the winter months, but still have air intake. Mr. Svensson and his team, the HVAC team, and all of our maintenance team have done an incredible job working in these 3 buildings, replacing broken windows, and making sure that all 3 facilities are ready for occupancy as soon as we come back to school. So a huge thank you to Carl, whose innovation has really driven a lot of the work, particularly at the Beachmont School, but also at the Garfield and the high school. And I think that's everything.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Any members have any comments or questions? Okay.
This memorandum,
This time.
Mr. Mayor, through you to the superintendent, this memorandum of understanding will be posted when on our website? Because it's a lot of detail and I think it must have been difficult for people who are not familiar with various things to follow, might need to look at it.
It is, and as you know, Carol, because you were part of the negotiating team, we finished the negotiation at about 12:15 this morning. So
Yeah.
I know that the RTA field service rep, Ted Lewis, and the school committee's attorney, Nick Dominello, are going to work on the actual wording of the MOU. I know that Nick was occupied all day today. I believe Ted, both of them, as you know, are doing this kind of extensive hours-long work in multiple districts. But I'm sure they will get us the written version as soon as possible.
Thank you.
The chair will now entertain a motion to approve the MOU.
Mr. Mayor, if I
Uh,
may, I
Dr.
move that
Kelly.
the
Freddie, one thing, Dr. Kelly had her hand up. Really
I
quickly.
should have mentioned that the Revere Teachers Association ratified the memorandum of agreement today. Mr. Sinella, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. I mean, with the hours behind us, what's another 30
tired.
seconds?
Yeah.
All right, at this time, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to enter a motion that we accept the memorandum of agreement as decided by a vote of the RTA and necessary that the members of the school committee ratify it.
Okay,
Second.
motion to ratify. The second roll call of the members.
Mrs. Bronston Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. D'Ambrosio,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti,
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi,
Yes.
Mr. Sinella,
Yes,
Ms. Ty,
Yes,
Mayor Arrigo.
Yes. Okay, the next item on our agenda and the final item is a discussion of budget and staffing relative to part-time CAF workers, crossing guards, bus monitors, and bus drivers. Dr. Kelly?
well,
So in light of the fact that we're not going to have any students coming to our schools for the foreseeable future, I think it is prudent for the committee to consider, in terms of budget, the viability of keeping all staff in the cafeteria, all crossing guards, all bus drivers and bus monitors on staff in light of a very difficult budget year, and the fact that no students coming to school means that it's difficult for those folks to do their job, and it's even more difficult for them to do it remotely. They don't actually have the ability to work from home the way some of our other unit members do. And so I think that that should be considered by the committee and see where you all want to go with that as fiscal agents of the school department.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly.
Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Ty?
Mr. Mayor,
Yep.
for purposes of discussion and further explanation by the superintendent, I'd like to make a motion that we offer the part-time cafeteria workers, the part-time bus drivers, the crossing guards and the full-time bus drivers furlough program, and get the information about whether they would be interested in that. They may or may not know that if they are in a furlough program, that they can
You'll
collect
have to get back to
unemployment.
them on the Zoom call.
And it will, of course, be optional.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Ty. I know there's a second. Do any members want to talk on it before we take up a vote? I do appreciate, Ms. Ty, the idea of an optional furlough program as a first step to really consider how we best move forward with these staff members, and the giving the option is really an important piece, and offering it to those employees, we'll get a good sense of what the next steps may be.
Mhm.
Mr.
Chairman.
Sinella? Yep.
Yes, through you to the superintendent. Diane, I mean, I think you need a window, a time window, because technically school starts on Tuesday.
Mhm.
And I mean, how long are you going to allow people to make this decision? I mean, unless you don't feel that's paramount, but I just can't see, say 120 people going a month. I mean, does that make any sense?
Do you mean a time window for them to make a decision on whether they
Yes,
want to take
because
off
if
the
they,
furlough?
if they
Yeah.
don't accept the furlough, then they're going to be laid off.
Yeah, so I think that, I do think that we should put a time limit on it. What I can do is, if the committee votes to go in this direction, I can reach out to the union leaders this evening and ask them, and also the administrators who oversee these groups, and ask them to reach out to their membership. And we can put a more formal offer together and let them know that they're gonna get that over the weekend.
Fine, okay.
I do think it is important to make sure that people listening understand that a furlough means folks are still employed by the school district. They're just not going to be paid currently while we're not using their services. But when we are able to come back to a hybrid mode of learning where we have kids coming in every day, their jobs would still be promised to them. And, at that time, they could choose to come back to their job when we invite them back, or they could choose to resign it if they felt at that time they no longer wanted the position. In the meantime, as somebody already pointed out, they would be able to collect unemployment.
So would we entertain a motion, Mr.
So,
Mayor, that
Move the question.
Already made the motion and it's
Is it-
second.
There's a motion,
Mo-
there's a motion on the floor already.
Motion's on the floor. There's a second. And
Roll
so
call.
without further discussion, we'll go to a roll call.
Mrs. Bronston Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. D'Ambrosio,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti,
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi,
Yes.
Mr. Sinella,
yes,
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Mayor Arrigo.
Yes. Okay, any other business before the committee, or any member wish to say any final words? Okay, seeing none. Dr. Kelly, thank you for the work that you and your team have done to get the MOU completed with the RTA. We certainly appreciate the leadership that you've provided to the district. So thank you for the long hours that you put in to make that happen.
Thank you.
With that,
I want to thank you too, Mr. Mayor.
I don't need any thanks.
Yes, I know this, but it's everybody working together. But it's especially important for the people at the top to show the kind of leadership that both the superintendent and the mayor have done so. And it's made it, it's given our negotiations, which were sometimes very difficult, a sense of real input, a sense of the importance of what we were doing, and a sense of a mission so that we could educate our kids in a safe environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ty. I appreciate that. Okay, I will now enter or have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
And Ms. Frandy
Second.
makes a motion, and we will adjourn until our next committee meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.